Ever since he passed in 2019, there haven't been too many people willing to say anything bad about Nipsey Hussle. Clearly, the man had amazing potential in the rap game and could have really shocked the industry if he wasn't taken from it so soon. And again, it looks like 6ix9ine wants to continue his beef with the late rapper from beyond the grave. So, let's rewind the clocks back a year on this one. Back in late August of 2020, 6ix9ine came under fire for visiting Nipsey's mural and disrespecting or respecting it, depending on who you ask. Though kneeling in front of it and giving a tribute may seem like water under the bridge, you have to remember where 6 was around the time of Nipsey's death. In one of his last interviews, Nipsey was already talking about 6's antics in his videos, feeling that they were more about the style than the actual flow. While he's certainly within his rights to call them like he sees them, 6 is now saying something a little bit different about whatever went down back then. In a new podcast interview, 6 ends up going off on how much Nipsey was disrespectful towards him and how he was always watching his back in case one of his crew would have tried to jump him. Even when speaking with Wack 100, he got into a heated argument about showing up for a festival date with his crew and having gang members surrounding his hotel room before he had even gotten in the door. Some big words coming from somebody who's been called a snitch by nearly everybody in the rap game at this point. Halfway through the interview, 6 even starts to get heated with Wack about how Nipsey was always like to cower to the hood politics of his neighborhood and sent people to come after him after he got out of prison. Okay, so clearly he and Nipsey already had some words. So why the hell would he even try to make amends by going to the mural where everyone's trying to pay tribute to him? The dude may be looking for some sort of closure, but he needs to know the time and place for something like this. Even Wack, during the interview, isn't taking any of 6's BS, claiming that he's not really seeing the situation for what it is and defending Nipsey's name by saying he would have never done something like that. It almost gets funny watching the two of them go back and forth. You can tell that 6 is fired up and has some good points, but Wack is just coming off like the angry teacher who's trying to calm down some hyperactive child. I'll give him credit though. It's not like Wack isn't trying to meet him halfway here. While 6 makes some good points about worrying about his safety, you can tell that Wack is seasoned in the game and has been through a lot more than 6 has. This man has clearly done some living and he's not going to let some loudmouth kid go off on somebody who he could have considered a friend. Even if 6 was just there to pay tribute to Nipsey's memory, he had to realize that there was no reason to call attention to himself so soon. I mean, it had only been a few months after his death, so he might want to give it a little time to breathe before he starts trying to make amends or anything. The whole thing just comes off less like a loving tribute, more like these mob movies where members of the opposing gang attend the funeral of a rival gang member. It comes off less like you actually care, more like you're trying to mark your territory. What, you don't believe me? Okay, then let's take a closer look at what we got here. If you look at any of the photos from 6's appearance at Nipsey's mural, the whole thing practically looks like it could have been a publicity stunt. It's funny how some of the main takeaways from this whole thing wasn't 6 just kneeling at Nipsey's mural. It was the fact that he got footage of him standing directly in front of it. Towards the end of the interview as well, Wack is already explaining to 6 that it's not about the fact that he decided to show up. It's the fact that he decided to show his face in Nipsey's neighborhood while it was fresh in everybody's mind. The man is still being mourned, so we don't need one of his detractors coming into things trying to pass everything off as nothing. Since that little show is done though, it's apparently time for 6 to move on to the next thing and is now determined to put Nipsey's name through the mud again. I mean, a handful of years should be long enough for me to start talking trash on my rival again, right? Well, maybe, if he had proof. The only problem is, he doesn't seem to have any sort of evidence. Yeah, 6 can make bold claims all he wants about not feeling safe and secure and not naming names regarding gang activity, but there's no way to actually confirm that Nipsey was behind any of these. Hell, I wouldn't be surprised if 6 is just doing this to try to build up some dangerous persona again. Ever since he worked with the feds, though, his days as a dangerous figure have pretty much expired. He doesn't seem like a rabid dog anymore, but more like a scared chihuahua. For as much as this might have seemed dangerous back in the day, it's hard not to look at this as just sad at this point. I mean, our guy here got locked up for being a snitch and is now trying to be on the straight and narrow by going after the names of dead celebrities. You can say that they may have exchanged words in the past, but the bottom line is that Nipsey was never one to go after his enemies. If you had asked anyone who knew him, Nipsey always had a dark side, but always looked out for his community first and foremost. Things could have escalated to extremes, but he seemed to look at it like a last resort. Also, it might be a friendly word of advice for 6 to not try and start some beef with Wack 100. Since Wack was already standing by his side a while back when he went off on 21 Savage, he probably won't want to get on his bad side anytime soon. As much as 6 might be coming off as a big tough guy right now, the whole thing just ends up looking sad for anyone who watches it. For the past few years, 6ix has already been doing everything he possibly can to get some sort of traction, only to put his foot in his mouth every time he tries. But it's getting to be way too much when he decides to go at someone who can't even defend themselves anymore. Even though 6ix might be all talk right now, he might not realize that he's going down a very dark path. It might seem like a big deal to go after someone who tried to jump you, but since Nipsey isn't around, 6ix is putting a target on his back. Every time he tries to call out Nipsey's behavior, he's just making his rivals even angrier. By the end of the interview, even Wack seems sad about what he's seeing 6ix turn into. This isn't an up-and-coming kid trying to make a name for himself in the industry anymore. This is a guy looking for fame and trying to sink his claws into anything he can to get his hands on it. And to see it directed at Nipsey just, makes it all the sadder. Nipsey was always a kind soul and would never try to go after someone just for the hell of it. Even at his memorial service, people were still trying to carry on his tradition of reforming the neighborhood he was in into something even better. Say what you want about other rappers in the game, but not many others can get an endorsement from Barack Obama at their memorial service. So why the hell would 6ix even try something like this after Nipsey's death? Simple. He's got nothing better to do. In fact, show of hands in the comments, when was the last time you actually cared about 6ix9ine for his music? Yeah, the man clearly has more public stunts on his agenda these days than actual music production. It's almost a double-edged sword though, considering 6ix's connections with the feds. Ever since being released, 6ix is coming off like he can have it both ways, being tight with the cops who helped him out of jail, as well as being a dangerous figure. He can't have both those things. Has anyone told him that? But does this Nipsey talk really hold any water? Probably not. Given how many times 6ix has gone down the rap rabbit hole just to get people talking, this is still just a stunt, trying to get the fans fired up, I wouldn't be surprised if 6ix just moved to some different controversy next week. I mean, one week is 21 Savage, next week is Nipsey Hussle. Be sure to tune in next week to see what this guy has to say about Lil Uzi Vert, I guess. We can see what he's doing here, and it's getting more and more tasteless as the years go on. But 6ix has gone so far down into controversy that he'll probably stop stirring the pot once the sun burns out the sky. Looking forward to when he decides to start some beef with Jay or Ye 6, because trust me, he won't have a prayer when he decides to go up against the big leagues. So let's just can this controversy for now. These are the kinds of fighting words that belong in the trash. But what do y'all think? Does 6ix have a point in worrying about his safety, or is he just trying to reach some extra clout? Also, what do y'all think that Nipsey would have made of all this? Be sure to leave a comment down below and let everybody know. Other than that, be sure to like and subscribe and keep it right here at RIZZLE so you don't miss out when another bombshell comes down the pipeline. Take it easy and keep it RIZZLE.